Welcome to the Predictive PlayBook, and I'm smiling for many, many good reasons. We just about spent the last 20 minutes backstage getting caught up with Mr. Finn. We haven't had him on the show in a while. He's been a very busy man, but he is obviously with us today, as you can see, front and center. And we have, of course, Rob Vino along. It's going to be us three guys today. I guess they call that the Three Amigos. But you know, it's not a show unless I talk about the PGA. It's kind of like Steve Merrill can't be on a show without talking about Bitcoin or using other people's money to bet. So, with that said, how about that Phil Mickelson?
How about that John Daly?
Amazing.
The rumor I saw out of the BetMGM, I have a couple friends in there. They said that you actually used a different name and were able to get John Daly plus 34 shots over Phil Mickelson.
Yes.
That's true?
No, but it sounds good. It makes sort of a good story.
Well, that would have been a hell of a bet.
All right. Phil, I got John Daly.
Considering John Daly didn't make the cut.
I got John Daly plus 34 strokes and 5 free drink tickets.
Well, it wouldn't be. We have to show this.
Santa! There's Santa!
It's a hell of a clothing line.
My goodness, John. I'll tell you. I have to tell you guys, I really miss that part of the country, that Ozarks and the hillbillies down there. I mean, I really miss it, man.
Well, Phil Mickelson doesn't come from there. He comes from San Diego area.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know you're talking about Phil, but
yeah.
Did you guys actually watch it? Because I didn't have any chance to talk to you about the last round. I mean, the last round for a guy like me, having played that course, was nothing short of sensational. And it wasn't because I was, pulling for Phil, even though I took him before the fourth round, because we had one of those contrarian situations where everybody and their brother and sister, whole entire families were betting Brooks Koepka, and for good reason. Four majors, he won back-to-back PGAs, back-to-back U.S. Opens. Yep. Guy's a stud.
Yeah.
And Phil is what? An old man. Who they made it sound like he wasn't even going to be able to make it around the course just walking.
No, yeah. I don't think he's old. 10
No
years
way.
younger than me. 10 years younger than me. He's a baby.
There was moments where it could have gotten a little iffy, but 16, Koepka, and this was the wind. Remember I talked about the wind at Kiowa? Yeah. And I have played it where the wind is complete opposite back-to-back days, but still blowing 30 miles an hour. That's what happened Saturday and Sunday. So the difficult holes, 13 through 18, we're now playing downwind. And it did make them easier, but it didn't make them, simple. So Koepka gets up on 16, the par 5, and just destroys a ball. And you're thinking, well, he's getting home in 2, and if he gets an eagle, and Phil somehow, manages not to birdie, this thing isn't over. So what does Phil do? He gets up and rips it 15 yards past him. It was the longest drive of the tournament. It was longer than Bryson DeChambeau. Mm-hmm. So maybe this guy's ought to do his workout regimen.
Did they give the ball a PED test?
They always do before they award the trophy, Tony.
Okay.
They go through all the balls, make sure they're not corked. The pine tar on the golf club can only be a certain amount.
Yes. And I'm certain that Deckinger is the one doing the testing too.
One of a few. PGA is very thorough.
Yeah, and of course George Brett's in the stands still needling and heckling Deckinger.
Yeah, so Mickelson, first guy to win a PGA Tour event in 4 different decades. The first one he won as an amateur.
Yeah.
Oldest gentleman. I can't say oldest man. Oldest gentleman to win a major at age 50. And Julius Boros was the previous record holder at 48 years and some change. But this is a different world of golf than back then, with all due respect to Julius Boros. To beat these guys on the longest course ever played in a major, and 50 years old, and he's out driving the 20-somethings by an embarrassing amount.
It can't be real. He's got something's good. Something I don't know. Phil's listen. I like Phil. We went to the same college, but Phil is been he's paid some fines for insider trading, and I'm certain that Phil's up to something. Maybe not, but
I'll tell you what Randy Arozarena was up to. He just tripled, so they're still scoring runs at Tampa.
13-7 now.
This is why we're starting the show at 5:15 instead of 4:15 because we're talking about the Tampa Bay game.
We're trying to get Tony paid. Is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Me and John are trying to get Tony paid here.
He has to somehow get to the airport, and nobody has a way to get him any money.
It's like the day I was trying to get you paid, John. Walk you right through the game.
Oh yeah, Oral Roberts. Yeah, I was.
Oral Roberts.
I was a mess.
It all worked out. So what do we think over the weekend, guys?
I have an article up in about an hour. What we learned from Saturday and Sunday's first round game ones. What did we learn? What did you learn that I didn't learn or I don't know about? No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you. It's not rhetorical.
I'll give you one.
What I learned?
I'll give you one that was a trend
that
developed into a trend over the weekend, guys, that I talked about at NBA Tip-Off today, is that these home favorites, game one home favorites, first half, you tried betting them, you got your brains beat in. Home favorites in the first half were 2-5 and a push. Milwaukee got you the push, but you're talking about a team like Brooklyn's first half was miserable. They lose outright. Yeah. The Knicks have been a first half moneymaker all season long. They couldn't win the first half. Philadelphia gives up 62 points in the first half. They lose outright. The Clippers lose outright to Dallas first half. Utah scores 43, loses outright. So first half home favorites were garbage, and a lot of it was due to bad offense. So, the reason why I bring it up, Tone, real quick, is that when I was talking to Joe Saturday on the show, you always have with 6 days off that rested or rusty argument, right? And after the results are in, you backfit it. Oh, they were just rusty. Oh, they were well rested, blah, blah, blah. But nobody can tell you that before the game. In most instances, these home favorites were a little bit rusty, I think, from the layoff. I mean, the numbers bear it out at least. So we'll see. I think there's changes to come in game 2 and game 3 further on down the road.
I agree.
But in that...
some of it had to, I wouldn't call it rust. I mean, I spoke to a couple guys who truly, these guys are gamblers, but they cover a beat for a couple of NBA teams. And the two I spoke to that cover the Nets, for instance, they were adamant, passionate, in fact, that this team wasn't rusty. A 16-point quarter for the Nets, first quarter, is, especially when you're laying that number you're laying with them in that game, it was concerning. I would say it would be concerning. I wasn't that concerned because Boston was they weren't that much better. They hit a couple more shots. That's all it was. Right. But they were passionate. They're adamant about one thing, and that is that the concern that this big three had not played enough together was they knew for a fact. They told me it's going to show. It'll show, and probably show the whole game one. And they said the good thing, they were really happy, and because they're fans too of them, they were happy that they were one of the teams that played on Saturday. They didn't have to play till Tuesday,
right?
And that they were going to get some extra time on the court together, etc. And after the games, or it was Sunday, I guess, when I talked to them or exchanged emails with them, that they said it didn't take that long, did it? They said, well, save the fact that Boston just isn't right. They can't defend, and they try to slow. They try to speed. There's nothing that they're doing is right. And they said that Brooklyn could be that bad. That Brooklyn, first off, when Brooklyn scores 104, what was it? What did they score, 104?
Yeah, 104-93.
You're supposed to beat Brooklyn.
Right, absolutely.
That's how bad Boston is. And then the other guy said, it's funny that he was reading some national. He made me some quotes from some of the beat writers with the game, some of the other ones that I won't mention names, or I won't even do the initial thing. I won't do it. They laughed at them when they said that the Nets played some of their best defense that game, and
Oh my God.
and these guys are laughing. They played exactly how they play, and it's pathetic, and they don't care to play defense. It's a pace and space game, league now. And you've mentioned it many times, you guys. We've mentioned it, that defense, it's difficult with the skill set that these guys have. You want to get tight at 30 feet. You're doomed. You're absolutely doomed. So there is no defense. Again, we've talked about it. It's icing. It's offense wins championships, but you have to be able to. And he made a very good point. This point is this, and I'll quit talking because I'll talk forever. And that is that if you're well coached, you can defend. You can play a defense. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to do a few things differently and confuse the offense and do them to a degree where you're at least technically sound and make it more difficult. You're not going to be the Knicks game, guys. Did that put you to sleep or what? Did that game put you to sleep?
Well,
it's horrible.
Tony, it actually didn't put me to sleep because I had a 5%er on the under.
Well, then you should have fallen asleep saying, "Well, this is over. This is an easy winner. I can rip Van Winkle." And this somebody said they'll still be playing, still trying to make a bucket.
Yeah, except it didn't turn out that way. You sweat that thing right to the end.
Yes, it did.
69
You're right.
fourth quarter or whatever it was.
And here's my question for you guys. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up, Ryan. And look at the box score on that game.
Yep.
Okay, look at the box score. Missed it by what? 3 points of going over?
Yep.
What do you do now in game 2? Because they can't be that bad again, can they?
Well, I think the fourth quarter was probably an aberration.
Was it?
I know. If you're an under better, you got a Trae Young poster in your bedroom right now.
Oh, I do.
Because the fact that he won that game and saved it from overtime.
When he's dribbling it.
He should be MVP.
Uh-oh. Let me tell you something. I like the MVP right in his mouth. That's what I'd like to do. And I'm not passionate. I'm not biased or anything. I was on the Knicks. But here's the deal. I said when he's dribbling that ball down 9 seconds, the guys are with me, the degenerates from my neighborhood are with me. I said, dudes, if they let this son of a bitch, if they don't double him and make him pass this off, then I'm going to scream like a girl. That's my line. I'm going to scream like a girl, and then I may cry too. And they didn't. They let him dribble. I mean, you have to get the ball out of his hands. Do you not? You don't want him shooting that 10-foot floater. He's going to make it.
Well, and to your point, Tone, they not only did they play man to man, but they played him tight, 25 feet away from the basket, and he blew right by.
Idiots.
He blows right by, and then I was talking to my son after the game. I'm like, there's no help. There's nothing. I mean, the announcer, and this was my son's contention. He's like, the announcer makes it sound like that was some kind of miraculous shot from 6 feet away, a floater. There's nobody in the way of that 6-foot floater. If he can't make that, he's no good. That was pretty easy.
That's a 70% shot for him. 70%.
Yeah, those little guys all have it in their game. They know how to make that shot.
Yes, they do. Especially when there's nobody in front of them.
Right. Yeah, there's no help over. Nothing. There was nothing.
No.
And that's Tom Thibodeau defense. You expect better.
Oh, guess what? Yeah. I expected them to be, in truth, I expect them to double him and make a pass, and then wherever it's going to, if you double a little old, with two big guys, there's 3 seconds. There's 3 seconds left. Whoever catches the ball, and you're going to be able to run to him, and I'd rather have them taking a 20-footer, a 30, whatever the case may be. It just, I'm an idiot, and I can.
So I have to admit that I thought that play call by the Knicks at the end of the game was one of the best I've ever seen.
Oh, we're burst.
Because it ensured that the under was going to win, because they passed it to a guy with his back to the net.
We surely couldn't have overtime there.
Well, yeah, and well, I guess a 3 would have wrecked me, possibly.
No,
it was 2-12, right?
The 2-12 ended up what?
213, 213 and a half, I guess. What was the final score? I thought it was.
I thought it was
107, 105.
Yeah.
Yeah, 212.
209. What was the final?
107, 105.
Okay, 212. That's right. Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so a 3-pointer really, then I don't have a poster of that guy.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, if it goes overtime, all that work goes right down the drain because of the fourth quarter. And I love watching these guys like Trae Young absolutely Reggie Millard Spike Lee after he made that shot. It's hysterical.
Disgusting.
Watch.
It's just act like you bit. Give me some Marcus Allen. Come on. It was a little 6-foot floater, and you act like you just say that you invented that you discovered the vaccine, that you don't even have to take shot. All you have to do is snort it. Here it is, guys. We're just going to snort the vaccine. I've saved the world.
You noticed that too, huh?
You know what? Yeah. It's somebody that has never been there and has never done it. And we saw that. I mean, the language coming out of his mouth directed at the crowd was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
When he played for Oklahoma, guys, I was covering a little Big 12 action then, and I knew he was going to be that guy. Yeah.
Well,
and not that he's the only one, because there are lots of those guys.
I know in Philadelphia, Rob will agree with me that we have a saying that what comes around goes around.
Well,
does the same thing apply in Vegas?
Only in Philadelphia?
Well, I don't know. I'm not worldly.
Butt into that son of a gun many times outside of Philadelphia.
I do learn so much from you.
Well, it hurts.
Well,
You're right.
You can bet that
the Knicks
were the Knicks were taking notes. You could see that some of the players walking out were looking at them.
Right.
I've said it many times. You guys, I know that you guys don't agree. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I've always said that the pace and space is what it is. It's here to stay. Or at least it's here until they come up with something different. But in playoff basketball, if you go to the rim, the first time, it's going to hurt. It is going to hurt.
Yep.
And that's how I grew up. It is going to hurt.
So what happens in game 2 then?
Well, it should hurt. It should hurt bad. And then when he goes down, there'll be 3 or 4 guys over the top of him mouthing the same stuff he was mouthing to the crowd. But there won't be.
If James Dolan allows him in, then Charles Oakley comes out of the stands and makes sure it hurts even more.
Yes. I like that.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And Patrick Ewing. And Patrick Ewing punches the security guard right in the mouth that didn't know him, too. I think they drag him out there on the floor, too.
Yeah, I mean, at some point next game, there's got to be a hard foul against Trae Young just to let him know this is a playoff series and we're not going to stand for it. But, hey, I mean, that was a closely contested game. Point spread, I think. Hey, Tone, real quick here. Well, I got 2 thoughts, so I'll just go with one because it deals with tonight. Where space and pace is concerned, I mean, obviously I'm in good shape. I have a series ticket on Portland, so I'm very happy with what happened there. Yeah. But, I mean, out of all the series that are going on right now, that particular series, I don't know that series is going to change from game 1 to game 4. I mean, they have too many weapons. And Jokic and Porter Jr. can score all they want, but that's all they have. The only thing that kept me off that game tonight from playing Portland again is that Denver going down 0-2 and then heading to Portland. But, I mean, if you can get over that in your mind, there's no reason you shouldn't be playing Portland.
I did. Yeah. I told you. There's only one thing that zigzag is good for. I ain't zigzagging. I'm with you on that. I was on it in game 1. And I did this. Here's what I said to myself. When I do my assessments and I, put 1, and I do all the math and all the ciphering, Jethro Hillbilly ciphering that I've been taught, there's something that says this is Portland, this is Denver, this is the old Pepsi Center. You can't possibly. Yep, I do it. I did it. There, yeah, there you go. Fine. Oh, NRBQ. NRBQ text.
It's a relatively old slide.
I'm with you. I think Denver. If Portland does what they did, guys. I mean, if you watch that game, you'll watch that They let Jokic have anything you want, do whatever you want. Guess what? We're going to let one assist. That is and okay,
mind-boggling.
Okay, I had guys when I wrote a little piece on it. They called it, but Tony, they were there was like several guys who didn't shoot very well from the 3-point line, so that's why he only had one assist. Well, I didn't see where he had one assist any game, just one assist any game this year. You were trying to tell me that a 72 game they didn't have a bad shooting night? Portland is letting him have whatever he wants, but no, he's not going to involve other players. He's not going to be the guy that is a facilitator of other players getting in a rhythm, and it's going to be he's going to have to score 125 points tonight for Denver to win.
Because you know what? It didn't matter the last 20 games of the season or whatever it was.
Yep.
But, boy, I thought this going in that not having Jamal Murray would show up now, and it shows up now. They just don't have enough, and they don't have Will Barton. They just don't have enough. And at some point in that game Saturday, there comes a point where Jokic has to go sit the bench for 6 minutes, 6 minutes. And when he does, Portland, they don't play defense anyway.
Did you see? No, did you see the bench points?
Oh,
the bench, 30 points and all negatives, plus minus.
They just don't have it.
No, they don't.
And we harped, and John, you'll know because you heard me say it 1,000 times, but I harped on the fact that they're so depth shy on guards. Yeah. And Gary Harris Jr. got traded, and Jamal Murray's out for the year. And until Monte Morris came back, he was out. And you're trying to chase Damian Lillard with this little Campazzo, who actually I think that Lillard would like a fly swatter to get rid of him.
Yeah, he's a pain in the butt. No doubt about it. Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do because you know what? I thought that they would put Jokic in pick and roll. What they do, they put Porter in pick and roll and scored at will. Remember last year, Tone, in the bubble, I mean, when we talked on NBA Tip-Off every time, it was, Michael Porter Jr., defensive liability, defensive liability, and it showed up again. He can score now. He's going to get you 25, no problem. And he did that, shooting 1 for 10 from the 3-point line. But I guess that's my point here is Denver can play offensively as good as they want. And I don't think it's ever going to be enough in this series because the other team has way too many people.
And, Lillard has always struggled, guys, against Denver, no matter where. Why?
Harris Jr.
Harris, that's correct.
Yeah.
Harris Jr. Well, he didn't struggle on Saturday.
No. And, you listen to a lot of national media shows, and they'll let you believe that Portland is Damian Lillard and nothing else.
Well,
and you're comfortable with McCollum. You're comfortable with Nurkic. You're comfortable with Carmelo. You're comfortable with Norman Powell. Anthony Simons, guys, shoots 4 or 5 from 3-point range. He's been hurt a lot of the year, but he's a better than 40% 3-point shooter. They just have 2. And Portland's mentality where – probably right now their thought is we don't have to play defense against these guys because if they get 128, we're getting 132. If they get 132, we're getting 136. It doesn't matter.
They don't even try to score in the paint. Listen, look at how many points Portland averages in the paint. Their team's averaging 50, 52, 53. Memphis. There's some that even scored 60 and 70 points and taking the game. Portland, like 38, 30, whatever their average is. They don't even try. They don't care.
It's a bad matchup for Denver.
Yep, it is. Surely is. I get an echo. I really like hearing myself talk, though.
It's probably because of me, because all of a sudden I lost my headphones. I couldn't hear a thing you guys said for like the last 3 minutes.
Okay.
Or 2 minutes.
I'm still hearing myself.
All right, let me
start singing. Can I sing?
Well, that's nothing new for you. I mean, it might not be the audio.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Here, how's that?
That's better. I mean, it's not better.
Did you lose the echo?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened with that.
Somebody's TV is on.
Yeah, it's definitely not my TV. It's kind of weird.
That's the party that's going on at the Finn Shack pool.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
We got family in town. The degenerates are all, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. They started drinking at noon. It's Monday.
Oh, man. That's wonderful.
Yeah, well,
So John, talk to me here because the Ben Simmons debate on Twitter yesterday was going. I mean, if you like Ben Simmons, then you're pointing to all the statistical columns where he did real well and stuff that he does good. And if you're a detractor of Ben Simmons, you're pointing to 0 for 6 from the free throw line. You're pointing to a guy who in half court offense is non-existent. And you can't argue either group. You can't argue the guys who say, Ben, fill in the assist column, the rebound column, the defensive column, whatever. But the guys who are telling you he's a liability on him. When Joel Embiid went to the bench with that third foul in the second quarter yesterday, and then you watch Philadelphia's offense for the next 6 minutes, I got to admit, I'm sitting there watching that game, and I thought to myself, you know what? There's 15 other teams in the playoffs, and I'd rather have 15 other point guards than Ben Simmons because you can't run any offense through him. Thank God for Tobias Harris, who kept that team in the game. Now, Joel, I don't think should have been on the bench. I thought the referees did him wrong on a couple of those foul calls. But
that's another show, guys. The officiating was horrible across the board. Really was.
Yeah, the play where with Westbrook's foot, which really wasn't out of bounds, they should have gotten the ball back. But I mean, some of those foul calls on Embiid for a guy who's a star in the league.
How many ghost calls did Morant get? Well, you don't need to give Morant ghost calls. It was. Right. I just thought it was bad across the board.
Yeah, and you're supposed to get the best of the best in the playoffs, right? To get graded. But
we know who we're going to get, though. We know who we're going to get. Because if we bet on,
I agree with everything you said, Rob.
I guarantee you, Foster is going to doom. He's going to be, the death of me before this playoffs is over. Definitely.
It definitely was Tobias Harris with that 27 or 28 in the first half.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Oh my goodness.
And also, I think it was Curry had double digits in the third.
Yeah,
Curry. Yeah, Curry was a little cocky too.
Yeah,
he always has been kind of a mouth, but
I just like that kid from Atlanta.
No, but let me tell you, you're not getting paid like that kid from Atlanta either.
That team, the 76ers, they were 3 of 17 from beyond the arc in the first half, and you're watching Dwight Howard go to the free throw line, and you're watching Ben go to the free throw line. Like, Jesus, and then they give up 62 points to boot. They couldn't stop them. Washington shot 50-something% for the game.
Well, that's a tough. I don't care what you guys say. That's a tough match. That is pace, space, and space. It's difficult, even as good as Philly is defensively. And we talk. It was a good weekend, guys. There's a lot to talk about. The Suns and the Lakers. This Lakers team. They're just not healthy. First off,
they're done,
and I don't want to say that they're done because there's Scott Foster, there's the NBA, and there's TV, and they want the Lakers.
They couldn't get Steph there.
Yeah, I know.
I think the betting public is making the Lakers a false favorite in Game 2. Why in the world should they be favored?
That's Rob. He called him and said, "Listen, it's exact."
I never get these emails, and then I look so dumb when I say things.
Some of that, John, I thought was the immediate thought from people that maybe Chris Paul might not be healthy, so we'll bet Lakers. And some of it, and the other part of it is exactly what Tony's saying. The Lakers can't possibly lose 2 in a row. There's that mentality because the Lakers have that type of following. The following that goes with the Lakers, believes no matter what they see with their eyes, they believe the Lakers are going to win no matter what. So, hey, we'll see. I mean, they're down to like $1.17 favorite in that series now. But Phoenix played hard, and if Chris Paul is healthy, which he claims he is, we said it on this show. They're a tough out because they don't turn the ball over.
Yes,
they're a tough out, and they out-rebounded the Lakers like crazy yesterday. That should never happen. Where are those guys? Where is Dwight Howard? Where is Anthony Davis? Where are they?
Well, Anthony Davis
looked like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like Anthony Davis as a person. Even after that game, he basically stood up in front of the media, in front of the world, and said, "This loss is on me. I stunk.
That's true.
And he's right. He stunk. I mean, I don't know how much of a stand-up it is because everyone saw he stunk. However, at some point in time, if I'm the Suns and he gets up there and does that, this is what I say. I say, listen, Anthony, that's very nice of you for your fans, for your teammates, but don't discount what we did to make you stink.
It's a good point, Tony, because a question that was asked to him in that post-game press conference was, because 6 days ago he had 42 against this team.
Yes, that's right.
You just had 42. Tonight you were, in our terms, garbage. Did they do anything different? Anthony Davis. No, they didn't do anything different.
Oh, they did
make
too.
shots. So he's not giving Phoenix any credit for what they did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just now they didn't do anything. It's all me. I was bad and I didn't make shots and we didn't make shots and that's why we lost. But
we gave him points. We gave him transition. Listen, I like that he stood up, but there's some things he said that if I'm Phoenix, then I'm certainly, if I'm Chris Paul, I'm certainly I've already pinned it to the bulletin board, and I got it on loudspeaker over and over that speech, saying Anthony Davis thinks it was him. He doesn't give us any credit for winning this game, as the world isn't giving. It's the world against Phoenix right now, and Phoenix, they're deeper, they're healthier, and LeBron. When he took that was, did you guys see that fall he took? Come on, guys. I don't know what it was, but my God, what are you trying to do? Get a flagrant on when Chris Paul shoved his 30-inch waist and tripped you and made you look, it's just ridiculous.
And how about when Chris Paul helped him up and then he takes 4 steps and collapses again, oh my God, I'm hurt so bad. He was another one subject to.
I feel better about myself
on Twitter, but. I'm sick of that. Look at me out of LeBron. Look at me. I'm so self-centered. Put the camera on me.
Second time in 5 days.
That's right, John. Second time in 5 days. The other one was under the rim where he fell down and acted like he had been shot.
Oh, he wanted that flagrant there.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he could get it too. And I thought he would get it. I really thought he would get it because he did go. There was some contact to his head. However, that's one. I'll give the officials some credit right there. That was a great no call. It really was.
Let's go back to LA's deficiencies real quick, guys. And they're really no different than Philly's, although I think Philly might be slightly better. The perimeter shooting is bad. It's not consistent at all. It's bad.
How many shows, guys? How many shows did we do in the NBA tip-off show last year where I said to Ski, you got to call LeBron and tell him to quit shooting these threes because he sucks. This whole team sucks shooting threes. Tony, you don't know what you're talking about. They suck. And shooting, they're a horrible perimeter shooting team. Horrible.
And if you make the league in assisted field goal ratio, they should lead it by a lot, but they don't.
There's no question. I mean, if you can defend them and force them to shoot perimeter, much like with Philadelphia. I mean, I know Philadelphia had a hot third quarter. Curry caught fire. Green made a couple. But generally speaking, from a consistency standpoint, neither one of those teams is any good. And
Philly's head and shoulders better
than
from
LA.
The 3-point line than LA. Head and shoulders.
They have one because they have Curry.
They have Curry. Hell, Embiid is better than any from beyond the 3-point line than most of the Lakers.
But you don't want him there.
No, but he listen, like any superstar, many, many times that's where he wants to be. So that's where he is.
Yeah. And in fairness to Joel Embiid, if he's not leading the team in scoring, then they're not winning. And he's got to score his share.
What was that? Well, I thought he was really soft. I thought he was lazy. I think it may be the best thing that ever happened. I know it's silly. It's abstract, but Embiid missing those, only playing 6-10 minutes, whatever it was in the first half, was good for. If they won the game, it's good for Philly. It's good for Philly. Good for Philly fans, and it makes Philly better because Embiid's. That's not going to happen again.
Yeah, and they didn't play well when he went to the bench. I mean, his plus minus was like plus 13. And then he goes and sits down, and they're like a minus 15 right away. Yep. So they need him there. And Tone, to your point about the NBA is pace and space, that doesn't fit Philadelphia or the Lakers. We talk about them as the top two defensive teams, But you get them in pace and space against teams that can really shoot it.
That's
I
the
can see
teams you have to worry
trouble. I
about.
can see problematic being problematic for both of those squads.
I agree 100%. Especially guys, if Ben Simmons is sleepwalking, like he was.
Circle back to Ben Simmons if we can.
Yeah, let's go back.
Yeah,
I feel like as a defense attorney, I should represent him a little bit better.
Well, okay.
Yeah, because people were coming at him from both sides yesterday, John.
And I actually wish I would have seen that, but I was engulfed in the PGA and Phil Mickelson.
John Daly.
Of the starters in that game yesterday, Washington Wizards had one guy had a positive plus minus. All 5 starters for the Sixers plus. Ben Simmons, plus 18, was second on the team to plus 20 for Embiid. Simmons also had 15 assists and 15 total rebounds, 7 defensive, led the game with 8 offensive rebounds, which, if I remember right, gives your team a second chance scoring opportunity.
I will say this. Here's my rebuttal to that, and it would be I could think of 6 occasions where he did not get credited with a turnover, but what he essentially did was turn the ball over.
Well, he has 2 in the book. 2
yeah, but I'm saying there was, and I'm just saying off the top of my head, what I remember. It wasn't just the numbers for Ben. I didn't think. What I thought it was he didn't look like he was focused, that he was not there, that he wasn't in the spots that you expected Ben to be in certain situations, and it just didn't. It was like a movie where the sound, where the guy's lips are off, and you say, I can't watch this. It's horrible. That's what it was.
I'll tell you, if I'm looking at the box score only, it looks like the goal of the game that was for Ben Simmons to focus defensively on Westbrook and Beal, and Westbrook was off. He didn't have a real good game either. He was -9 plus minus, 5 total rebounds, 14 assists, which is almost normal for him. Shot 41%, not the end of the world. 0 for 2 from 3. Pretty unusual that he only took 2 3-pointers.
Yeah.
And I give credit to Simmons and his length.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, he needs to be on Beal. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
And for the most part, he was. Beal caught fire second half. But I'm just going to say it again, because what John just laid out there is what every fan of Ben Simmons will say. And what the detractors will say is, how come you don't mention that he's 0 for 6 from the free throw line? How come you don't mention that when Joel Embiid went out of the game in the second quarter and Ben tried to take over the offense, you see flying hook shots in the lane that slam off the backboard? The guy has no offensive game. He has nothing as far as offensive turnover. In the half court, if you put the ball in Ben Simmons' hands in the half court, he can't do a single thing with it, guys. If he can't get past his man, and he had trouble yesterday, he can't do anything with it. And then late in the fourth quarter, what the detractors will say is Ben passes the ball, and then, a lot of people won't watch off-the-ball movement, but watch Ben Simmons give up the ball and then go run the baseline, loafing on the baseline inside the painted areas, almost setting up for box-out position,
get the offensive
because
board.
He's going to get a rebound. He doesn't want the ball back. He doesn't want to score. And this is what detractors will say. In a half-court offense, the defense is playing 5-on-4 because they could care less. Sure. And in fact, there's a couple plays down the stretch, guys, where you could see the guy roaming the middle for the Wizards. It might have been Robin Lopez. It might not have. But he was able to guard 2 guys at once because Ben really isn't a threat there. He can just go back and forth and cover 2 guys at once. So you can't argue with anything John said, because everything good about Ben Simmons is not only good, it's off the charts good. Yep. But everything bad about Ben Simmons, you can't argue with that either, because everything he's bad at is bad off the charts. You can't have a point guard at the end of the game. You can't have a point guard going 0 for 6 from the free throw. You can't have a point guard that doesn't want the ball. He's the inbounds passer. He doesn't get the ball. It's crazy.
He can't. He should be a point guard. A point guard, first off, very good point, Robin. A point guard should be at the line a minimum of 15 times per game, and be hitting. A point guard should be hitting. 75% of their free throws. Minimum. I mean, that's average. That's the average in the NBA, right? In playoffs.
Well, he's
You
making
cannot.
61 for the
Listen to
season,
the
and
deal.
that's his highest.
I'll say it again. Wouldn't it be nice? How good would the Sixers be if Ben could hit a jump shot?
I mean, he'd be a Hall of Famer. He'd be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, just be a threat. But I'll mention it again. Magic Johnson. There's a handful of guys that could not shoot the basketball coming out of college. And by damned, if they didn't teach themselves to at least be a threat, to draw a defender, because what you just said is 5-on-4. I don't let Ben shoot 20-footers all day. We lose.
Ben
I will say this: down the last 2 weeks of the season, Simmons was posting up and backing guys in, and
Why
then
not?
either going around them or he would do a turnaround fadeaway, and he was making them.
Well, guess what? I'll let him have that turnaround fadeaway all day,
until he makes 10
all night, all year, all season. And listen, guys, just let Ben shoot that turnaround fadeaway. Everybody just let him shoot that turnaround fadeaway. We can shoot 30% from the floor and win. That's what
it's why he's such a. I mean, I don't know if polarizing is the right word, but again, all the columns that John mentioned that he filled up. If you don't like Ben Simmons, you can't argue. That's a losing argument. He's great at what he does. But
listen,
the stuff that he doesn't do well, he is horrible at. And Tone, to your point, Jason Kidd couldn't shoot a basketball when he came out of college. Jason Kidd learned how to shoot. You know, he ranks somewhere in the top 15 all-time three-pointers. And he was a horrible shooter.
He was worse than Magic.
Yeah, and he was a fantastic passer, rebounder, defender, all that other stuff that Ben is. Ben's got the unique size factor where he's a 6'11" guy that can do all of
That's
it.
where Magic had a big edge, is that he could he could go down there and shoot that 5-foot hook, and no one could guard that. You know,
right?
You think it is a factor if you have a guy on defense? I don't know. I can't remember who was guarding him for the Wizards, but if he's got the ball, he likes moving towards the rim. And when he can do that, he either gets to the rim, either slams it, layup, dishes it off, and that ends up in a slam dunk. It seems in this game that whoever it was able to stop the ball. You know, like us old men say in a half-court game, get ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then to your point, once he's stopped, then he's ineffective in the half court.
Whoever guards Ben Simmons, if the same guy guarding him for 48 minutes or if, let's just say 38 minutes in a game, they should fall. Ben Simmons should foul that guy out.
From the 6-minute mark on, you should foul that guy the way they used to do to Shaquille.
It's out. He's out. Whoever's guarding me, you're fouling out. That's my mentality if I'm Ben Simmons, because I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to go to the line 15, 20 times, and you're going to foul out.
Yeah, that is never going to happen.
You can do it.
With the exception of Campazzo on Denver, with 4 minutes left in the game in a close game, the other 14 point guards that are in the playoffs offensively, you'd want them. Do I want Chris Paul? Do I want Ben Simmons? I want Chris Paul. Yeah. Do I want Damian Lillard? Do I want Ben Simmons? I want Damian Lillard. I'll go up and down the list there. Do I want the point guard for Portland, Utah, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley?
In a 5-on-5, that's who I want. In a 3-on-3, no, I want Ben Simmons.
He's
because
great.
Ben Simmons should be at the rim on every single shot.
Yep.
He's great in the open floor. Philly had some fast breaks yesterday he made some great passes. Again, it's so hard. Well. It's so hard to quantify that guy because, again, everything he does well, off the charts well. But he does stuff in playoff basketball that'll get you beat. It'll get you beat in the last 4 minutes. He's a non-factor, and it's hard. I don't know what Doc Rivers going to do about it.
I still like them. I like them. I certainly don't like the number. I do like the number, and I'll tell you right now, I don't care that
they didn't cover.
No, right. Here's the deal. I don't care that who scores the points for Miami, because everyone's making a big deal that Miami was in this game because the 3-point shooting. Our star our stud didn't go to the line 20 times, and he was 4 for 22 or whatever it was from 3-point. Yeah, but look at some of the other Miami players who did shoot well. It's irrelevant. Miami cannot play at pace and space. Not unless their two wings shoot 60-70% from the 3-point line. That's the only chance they have. And I'm betting against that, guys. I'm betting against it. I'm betting Philly. I think Milwaukee will be a much different group tonight too. I just think they will. There's Ben calling me. He's pissed at me. Hold on. Let me unplug him right now. Unplug him.
It's great.
Don't talk bad about me like that, Tony.
Washington was hard to guard for them. They're hard to guard for a lot of people, but they were hard to guard. Even Robin Lopez had a nice game. You don't expect Robin Lopez. And Alex Len is a 7'1" stiff that played well yesterday.
Yep.
It's game one, and you don't want to get too crazy, but they didn't cover. And I just worry about Ben in close games. Again, does this end up being the same old Sixers? Close, but no cigar. If they get Atlanta with all the offensive options that Atlanta has, and they get in a run and gun with them, and they actually have Clint Capella in the middle, which could be a small difference maker. They got the easier bracket. They don't have to face Milwaukee. They don't have to face the Nets. They don't have to face Miami. They got the 1-4-5-8 deal. But I don't. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we will.
Well, speaking of the Miami-Milwaukee game here, this is I think this is my best bet.
Oh.
Yeah, Rob's seen this already.
We saw this one, yeah.
Tony, they almost forgot to show it on the show. On the
Which
NBA
show?
Wager Talk tip-off, they almost forgot to include this, the highlight of the show, wouldn't you say?
Bet the under in the Miami Heat versus Milwaukee Bucks game 2. Well, if you read that, then you have to be a robot and just to bet it. Now I've got to go up. I've got to read down. Why? Why am I betting the under?
Oh,
Because Miami's trying to do pace. They're trying to score 122 points. They're trying to score 120 points now. They're not supposed to. They can against Milwaukee, can't they?
Of course they can.
I think Miami is that scrappy team too. We've seen them play the Celtics, the Sixers, Charlotte.
Here's the problem,
competition.
John.
But a lot of their games are chippy, and
here's the problem with Miami.
Physical.
What's the biggest problem with Miami? It's a huge problem for anyone who's a gamer, as we are, and we're assessing a game and doing matchups. There's one tangible that we can't guard.
Well,
that's Spoelstra.
So to that point, Tony.
Yeah.
Let me give you this.
Okay.
From Goran Dragic. All right. And Goran Dragic had a nice game. Now, remember, Jimmy Butler goes 4 for 22 in that game.
Right.
Miami sinks 23s. However, 23s is all well and good, but from 2-point range, they're 16 of 49, 32.7. They could. So here's Goran Dragic on why they couldn't get 2-point baskets. Dragic says, we know their game plan. They're going to pack the paint. Lopez is going to be in a drop. We couldn't get alley-oops and we couldn't get close to the rim, so it's going to be tough for us to score inside the paint or make lobs. The biggest key for us now is to score in the open floor in transition. Yes. So Eric Spoelstra is going to make these adjustments.
Yes, he is.
And
he's the guy. I'm telling you, he's the biggest problem. When you're trying to handicap Miami, he's tangible. He's there. You have to account for him, but how? What's he going to do? And Spoelstra's really transparent. If you listen to him, he'll tell you what. He's not even afraid to tell you. He'll tell you what he's going to do. And listen to him because he's good at what he does. I said last year before they even went. I said what I say. I said he's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't have to do anything else. He's a Hall of Famer. And the best coach in the National Basketball Association, in my opinion. I mean, this is not a very good Miami team, guys. They're not that good. They're not. They took the an average. See here, look, here I am saying average world champion. Is that an oxymoron? Is that a contradiction? They took an average world championship team, deep, and that's just me. And not everybody would agree with me about Eric Spoelstra.
Well, let's apply it. Let's apply it to tonight in the angle John just put
let's
up.
do it. Yeah.
If in fact Dragic is telling us that they don't really want to play against the set-up half-court defense of Milwaukee because it's too tough. We probably can't make 23s every night. So we're going to run. We're going to pick up tempo and try and get cheap transition points, which is a sensible way to combat playing against the full court. We know that Milwaukee is a top 3 tempo team all year long. They don't back away from tempo, and Budenholzer's entire philosophy is drive and kick. Kick, surround Giannis with 3-point shooters. They go, I'm going to get the exact number here, but their 3-point shooting the other day was horrendous. Milwaukee goes 5 of 31, 16%. You can't expect that to remain either.
No.
So today we see this within the last, it was happening when we were on NBA tip-off, but this total started to creep up. The first half is now going from 112.5 to 114. The game total is going from, and talk about game-to-game drops, right? This game one total was around 227. Yep. It's 222.5 for most of the day today. Now it's up to 24.
And yes, I'm telling you, I don't get that, Rob, because we've already seen things we didn't even. It's only been 2 days. We've seen things that are. What's the name of the show? What's the name of the show?
The John Kelly Show. I don't know. What's
this,
the
is
name of
John this is the predictive playbook at Manny's Pub.
It's already predictive. What we've seen is already predictive of what's going to happen. And this is not old school playoff basketball. Unders. Listen, if you're going to be the Knicks, and again, you guys have said it already. That game almost went over, and I was going to fall asleep in that damn game.
Listen, somehow the Utah game went over. The Utah game was like 47-43 at halftime, and that made it to 221.
Insanity. That's all I have to say. It's all insane, and it's insanity. It was a baseball game tonight. In my write-up, my first paragraph was, listen, I saw this game, and the first thing I thought was pitcher's duel, which is a complete and utter insanity if I told you who the two pitchers were. But the offenses are so damn bad that it's going to be a pitcher's duel by default.
So Detroit.
And that's where we're.
No, it's the damn Rockies and Mets game.
It's Detroit. Man. It is Detroit and Cleveland. Tell me that you thought Turnbull and I've already forgotten who's. An opener. Who's pitching for Cleveland? It's the opener, Hennigan. It's an opener. That's a pitching duel, but I swear to God, that's what I saw. That's what I thought. And guess what? That's what I bet.
You can have a combined no-hitter.
Under 9. Well, it's 8.5 now. Everyone listen. It was a 9, heavy 9 until the under. It's 8.5 most places now. Because these two teams.
That matchup was blind at 9 because I didn't see that game.
Yeah, Turnbull's 0-6. Turnbull's 0-6 with a 6 change ERA against Cleveland. But guess what? Not this Cleveland team.
Right.
It's not this Cleveland team.
Point. It's an excellent point.
They just don't hit. How about
Cleveland might want to just go back to bunting, to start learning to make contact and do one thing at a time. Well,
Yep. Yeah, and I've always said that. When Abbott used to pitch, I don't understand it. I don't understand why they don't have 27 straight bunts against Abbott. I know that's probably not politically correct, but that's what I'm doing. I'm bunting. The guy's got one arm, you guys. You bunt right at Abbott.
So what
silly shit.
This morning I'm looking over the card and I want to play against the Rockies and their 2-17 road record.
Yeah.
But then you have the Mets with that lineup that's decimated. No Jeff McNeil, no Michael Conforto, no Pete Alonso. I looked at that lineup yesterday and bet against the Mets because who the hell are these guys they're running out there?
Under 7.
That's what I thought.
6.5 now. It's 6.5.
When you said look at the pitching matchup and it's Peterson against wow.
I know. Peterson, listen, he can implode, but against the Rockies, he's probably going to have 12. Yeah, he's going to probably have 12 strikeouts and pitch 7 solid innings.
Right, and the kid on the other side is probably going to hold the Mets to 1 run because I can't hit
Gomber, no better matchup, and he's actually been pretty good the last 4 starts. But he can't throw a strike. If he had to save, if his mother was on the side of a cliff, all he had to do was throw a strike. His son bitch couldn't throw a strike.
Off the cliff.
Off the cliff she goes.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you, somebody was throwing first pitch strikes, and that's actually my email. First pitch strike.
Okay.
It's the most important pitch in baseball. Adam Wainwright.
Oh,
I lost that game.
That
was a 4%er.
I'm embarrassed. I am
loss.
embarrassed for the Cubs because Adam Wainwright, he came dressed as Cy Young, and the Cubs thought he was Cy Young.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Wow. 90. These were it was a 90 and 91 point. I remember the announcement. Look, did you see that four-seamer? He threw a four-seamer that dropped off the table. Who throws four-seamers that drop off a table?
Nobody.
Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, he was getting the calls on the outside.
Nice strike zone. Yeah. No,
listen, and if you're backing St. Louis last night, you're saying the same thing. Holy Jesus, you're making Zach Davies look like Cy Young. Zach Davies is supposed to get raked all over the place.
I was this close to burying. I mean, I was this close to breaking every rule I have in the book and backing Zach Davies and tripling up on my own and not telling anybody. And I don't know how I became that 5-second smart yesterday, but I didn't do it.
I swear.
And now, guess what? And now I'm looking. I'm not really 5 seconds smart because the Cubs didn't win, but 2-1 with Zach Davies and Adam Wainwright. I'm embarrassed for him. I'm embarrassed for both teams. Huh?
They went extra innings.
I'm embarrassed. Yeah, extra innings, and they can't even score. They can't even score when they get a runner on second base hardly. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Well, maybe teams that are inept, they could have a new rule that they get up after the 5th inning, if they're scoreless, they get to put a runner on second.
I get a handicap. Yeah,
they get more
other teams double. We're gonna start putting a runner on third base for some teams.
But seriously, I thought the Cardinals were going to open it up because it looked like they were basically told by the hitting coach to sit on Davies' changeup, which he was hanging.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a couple of times I actually said I could have hit that.
Right.
I probably couldn't have, but at that time of the night, I thought I could.
I think I can hit.
Miles an hour with no movement.
If I hit anything, I can hit a 70-mile-an-hour changeup. That's one damn ball I can hit. And especially if I'm sitting on it, because it's probably the only thing I can hit.
I was going to tweet the one thing I don't like what the announcer is saying in the Little League World Series, that this kid just threw 72 is the equivalent of 98. Well, it's really not, because the sphere, which is what they call that in physics, is still moving at 72 miles an hour. It's not moving at 98. So I was going to do the reverse play, and when Adam Wainwright threw that 72 mile an hour, I was going to say, well, that's equivalent to a 40 mile an hour Little League pitch.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's equivalent.
He still couldn't hit it.
His 90 mile an hour four-seamer that drops off the table is the equivalent of a
sinking action. Heavy sinking action, glove side
on a four-seamer. No,
it was moving.
Yeah, if somebody said that's his two-seamer, that's his two, maybe. But here's the problem: even the best sinker ball pitcher in the world ever, that didn't use Vaseline. Well, I don't know many of them that don't or haven't, but they don't have that much movement on their sinker ball. That was a beautiful thing by Wainwright, and I hope he bottles that. And I fade Adam Wainwright every time he comes to the mound. Every time they still give him far too much credit, and it speaks to. And I hope I'm not insulting too many St. Louis fans. I have a lot of friends who are Cardinals fans, and every time I see them, this is what I say. I walk into the bar. They're all in the same bar, the local bar here. I walk in and I say, F Cardinals suck. And they know exactly who it is.
Well,
Oh,
Rob,
man.
you and I remember a game with Adam Wainwright that eliminated the Phillies in
Yeah.
when the hell was that? That's when Ryan Howard got hurt on the last pitch of the season with the Achilles rupture,
Blew up his Achilles. Yep.
and I think it was against Cole Hamels.
2010, maybe,
I'm thinking that. Yep.
because they were in the
But
World
he, I
Series
mean, he
at
was
the time.
dealing that night.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some. At the 2006 against the Mets when they weren't supposed to win that series, Wainwright throws the final game, Game 7, and wins that one. But he's a shell of what he was back then. And like you guys are saying, I mean, no matter which side you were on last night, I mean, when you get that kind of pitching performance out of Zach Davies, you're supposed to win. When you get that kind out of Adam Wainwright, you're supposed to win. They just didn't.
So you two know, and everyone listening, I did a breakdown. I couldn't believe when I looked at the splits on St. Louis and what they're hitting against left-handed pitching. So I said, this can't. I'm dreaming. I'm sure this can't be. It's not right. So I went and pulled every game up and pulled every left-handed pitcher they'd faced. And who's the best left-handed pitcher they've faced this year? I've said this so people in the audience I've said it on 2 or 3 shows. It was Doolittle, and he pitched 1 inning.
Oh, relievers included. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, relievers included.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's part of those stats. That's part of that stat line against left-handed pitching. That was the best left-hander, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I'm sure that Ron Guidry would argue that it was the best left-hander.
But so they're lucky enough so far this season to be in the Central and not have faced Josh Hader yet.
I agree.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought that, but have they played Milwaukee?
Maybe
they haven't even played them.
I'm telling you that
there's no lefties in that division, are there?
And I will say this: this was a week ago when I did this too. So if they may have faced some other left-hander, they may have faced John Vegas.
They played the Padres and then the Cubs. So maybe they saw Snell. I'm not sure.
Well,
but there's no lefties in their division. To your point, I'm trying to think of the best lefties in that division. It's Josh Hader, and he's a close.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, no, you're. Yeah, I mean, in the best, and I'll say it right now. I said it last year and got some wrinkles and some. It was on the first pitch show. I said this was in April. This was April 5th, and I said the best left-hander in baseball or the best left-hander in the National League. It's pretty easy. It's not. He doesn't play for the Dodgers. He plays for the Braves.
He had a great game yesterday again.
When he gets that, I told you his bad month was all about that landing foot to release point, and then he hurt his hamstring. Best thing that happened, but it's 11 days of working on that, and last 3 he's been good ever since then. He really has.
Want to know who they faced that is left-handed starter?
Yeah, who?
Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Yeah.
Marlins Trevor Rogers, who is pitching against the Phillies tonight. They have played the Brewers, April 11th. Brett Anderson, Matt Moore, Phillies, Patrick Gordon, Nationals, Wade Miley, Reds.
I'm so sorry, Wade Miley threw a no-hitter.
No, we're not counting Wade Miley. No hitter or not, we're not including Wade Miley.
And most recently, Austin Gomer of the
Rockies. It can't throw a strike to save his mother's life.
Well, and they know him. He
only
came
lost
from
5-0.
Huh?
Only lost 5-0.
They know him.
They play Wednesday. White Sox. Carlos Rodon.
Oh,
well, guess what?
That's the best.
But let me listen to these. Just listen to this, and you're going to say, "What?" You're going to say, "What?" Here is the dichotomy or the splits versus left-handed pitching, and we all know that. Listen, look at some offensive lines for any team, and they're not very good. The batting averages, everybody's down. Those numbers are down, right? Mm-hmm. St. Louis. Left-handeds against left-handers, 266, 344, 451. That's what they're slashing. And let me tell you right now, the slugging, the 451 slugging, It is essentially the worst number they have because it's middle of the pack. But their on base percentage against left-handed pitching. How are they scoring any runs? Right? How are they scoring? Because that's where they're really good, and they're in the middle of the pack. Average against left-handers, middle of the pack. And I heard, and I've seen it, and I've seen it written, and I've heard it from major portals that St. Louis is that they're winning with their bats because they're pitching so bad. Right? They're not a good team. They are not a good team.
What?
The Phillies.
Say what?
Where's the Phillies at? What's wrong with the Phillies?
Their bullpen.
And then we take another
it's still not
minutes to go through, Tony.
Yeah, you're right. And I told you guys that I had to leave an hour and 15 minutes ago, and here I am because I enjoy screaming the Cardinals suck at the bar on this show, and I love telling you that if Ben Simmons could shoot a damn jump shot, Philly would be world beaters.
The one thing that I learned today is that Adam Wainwright, you said, is a shell of what he used to be.
He is.
Phil Mickelson is playing at the best he's ever played.
Well,
How about that?
Is it Phil or was it the lunar? Was it the lunar stage? Because
it was in Kiwa. There is no lunar.
What?
It's on the beach. It's right against the ocean. I mean, you can see the ocean.
So you mean there's no lunar effect on a beach?
I don't think so when you're that close to the ocean.
Well, what controls the tides?
The moon.
The lunar cycle. And they control Phil Mickelson. I know for a fact he's a lunar.
I couldn't keep a straight face anymore, Rob.
That's good stuff. I mean, who would have known that the weather conditions in Kiowa were going to help Phil Mickelson more than anybody else?
I never imagined Phil would be when you guys listen Friday. Look at Phil Mickelson.
He shot 31 on the back.
I said, listen, his boobs are going to get in the way of that swing at some point in time during this tournament. I know. And then my wife said, Tony, he had an operation. I said, well, that's the reason.
I'll tell you what, he's pretty fit.
He is. He was stoic. I didn't see him get real excited. He's definitely a grizzled veteran of something like that. And if you give 10 other golfers that are at this point in time in their careers more talented than Phil, or other than they're winning that tournament. He's grizzled and he's been through those wars, and I had no doubts on Saturday and Sunday that he wasn't going to go away. Did you?
Well, I'll tell you, when he played the British Open, and he does have a major at the British Open, it's wins, and he hits the ball a mile high back in the day. But what forced him to do, and I heard a guy on Golf Channel actually, and it really made a lot of sense to me, is that, and you heard it in round 4, that they were considering different shots, not yardage. Like Jordan Spieth and his caddy, they're, what do you think, 157 and a half, 158? And Phil was talking to his caddy, the targets were, towers. The targets were stuff that had nothing to do with the hole or the course. And they were deciding whether he was going to shape it right to left or left to right. And honestly, there's nobody on the tour other than maybe Bubba Watson, who really didn't do well, that can shape the ball like Phil can at will, right to left, left to right. But that drive on 16, if you guys go back and watch that, that was just...
There's no one can shape the ball like Phil. No one can hit a wedge like Phil. No one can hit a wedge. No one can hit a wedge straight up in the air and still understand how far it's going to go like Phil Mickelson.
He's demonstrated he can hit it backwards with that wedge.
Right. That's right. Amazing.
Did you see the lie he had on 17?
Huh?
The shot on 17, he executed long left. Take the water out, long left. Unfortunately, it was about 2 feet too long and got into some really gnarly high grass that was probably close to waist high. It's going to twist the club. It's going to wrap around the shaft, and all kinds of bad things could have happened.
You're not even going to hit the ball. I'm not even going to hit the ball.
It was actually the first time I ever saw Phil Mickelson play conservative on one shot.
Yeah.
When he had to. Any other time, he would have gone for it, and it probably would have ended up in the water.
It. Any other time, he'd say, hey, look, kicked it. Hey, there's my ball. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
We're going to have Wager Talk's PGA expert on Wednesday, so we can talk more golf. You guys are really catching on.
I don't know anything about golf. I played golf. I was a good golfer. I don't know anything about golf. I don't know anything about shaping a ball. Man, we played everything up. Winner rules.
There's no winner in Vegas.
Well, there's no winner in Phoenix, but we still played winner rules. After about everybody. After about 5 or 6 Bloody Marys, it didn't matter.
You got mud on your ball, tough. Hit it.
We were the best. Oh yeah, if you had mud on your ball, you picked it up, you wiped it off. It was winner rules.
That's not how we do it in Philly. You play it down no matter what.
Black snow. All
right, so best bets. So Tony can go be with his family.
Yep.
Yes, I need to go with my daughters. I need to mentor them on their William Hill accounts tonight because they're the best.
So under 7 in the Rockies.
Okay, that's
under 7 runs. That is right.
Who, me? I played that.
Well, I mean, it could be. I mean, they might get more than 7 walks.
I'll tell you what I gave out my best bet. I'll tell you what I gave out my best bet today. Okay, on first pitch, Seattle is hitting 200 as a team, and I'm willing to lay $160 on Montas, who, if anyone can implode his home run problem with home runs, he's been great this year. He's worked out every single jam he's been into 8 out of 9 times. He's gone 6 innings. He's in Oakland against Seattle at $160 is stealing money. That's the best bet. Oakland minus 160. Lay the wood. That's wood. That's a scary proposition on Montas.
I like that bet a lot. Yeah. Yep. Rob, do you have one?
I'll go to baseball as well, guys, and I'll just follow a guy that has made me some money so far this year. I didn't think so to start the season, but I'll go to John Means and Baltimore. Baltimore's given up 80 runs in their last 10 games. Yeah. 80 runs. I want to avoid the bullpens. His last outing was against Tampa, who was just on an absolute tear offensively. No matter who shows up on the mound, Tampa Bay's whacking them.
And the ball was flying out of Oriole Park that day. That means, and 2 ground balls, 17 fly balls that day with Means.
And
that's ridiculous.
In Camden yards, that's never a good formula.
No, it's not.
Here he's going to get the Twins. They've given up 80 runs, but that offense is scoring runs as well. They're just, like I say, they had a couple of huge leads on Tampa that they gave up 6 through 9 innings. So
I like that play.
I'm going to whip the end of this game out. I'll go 5-inning over Shoemaker and the Twins. I think we're laying about $1.19, $1.20 with John Means. But I expect it to come back to the norm for him. Minnesota has not – they're not terrible, but they haven't torn up left-handed pitching.
They're a mess.
Well, overall, they're a mess. I'm just thinking left-handed pitching there. They're not at the bottom of the scale, but they're not good either. So, to me, John Means and the Oriole offense, get rid of the bullpen. Give me 5-inning. Minus the short price with
after John Ryan gives his best bet, though, I want to mention one thing to you, and I'll ask you about it. Go, John.
Don't
Ryan.
tell me the home plate umpire.
No,
it's the under in the Milwaukee game that I showed for the betting angle of the day.
Why not?
And this will be the first time I've actually touted myself as Mr. Joe D'Amico has proclaimed on his appearances.
He's rubbing off on you.
I'm actually hitting 75% in the NBA playoffs. For some reason, the last 3 seasons, 68% in the NBA playoffs. I'll admit that of the last 7 seasons of NBA regular season, this one has been my worst. So I think what is happening is I found a horseshoe, and I'm using that, and it's working. And last night when I won that 5%er, which I really didn't think they were going to get much above 205 before the game started, I thought, you know what? The horseshoe's working, the tide's turning. I'm not taking these tough half-point beats anymore. And now, the NBA gods love me. So I have 2 plays up tonight. and use John Ryan 50, and you get $100 off the season package and pay just $100 less. I forget what it comes to, but I think it's a pretty good deal. So
Well done.
Good
get
stuff.
on it.
Baltimore
Yeah.
Orioles.
Yeah.
They have the worst batting average against right-handed pitching. The bottom.
Yeah. 30th.
No one's worse.
Yeah. It's terrible.
They have the worst on-base percentage against who? Right-handed pitching. And they have the third worst slugging percentage against right-handed pitching. And it's a target field and it's cold, chilly tonight. It's not a pitcher's night for the most part. And Shoemaker's been horrible. Let's just be honest. Shoemaker's not missing bats. He's not doing anything right. In fact, if he improves his strikeout percentage because of some of his metrics, some of the underlying peripherals, he still won't be average. But something about that. So what did I do? I played under in that game, Robbie.
Yeah, no, and to the
A
point
9.
about the
A 9. A 9.
Yeah, the
What the
80
heck?
runs in 10 games. That bullpen.
They're not in
Here's me
Orion
a
Park
little-
though.
but-
They're not in Baltimore.
Yeah, no, that's true. And real quick here, because you mentioned the Detroit game earlier, and that Baltimore is 30th in the league offensively against righties.
Yeah.
Who's 30th in the league against lefties? The Detroit
Detroit.
Tigers.
That's right.
The Detroit Tigers. So an underplay there. I like the O's. In fact, John, I will change it up just a shade and say I would play. No, I'm not going to come. I'm going to say
No.
I'll play the Orioles run line minus a half a run. They need to be ahead after 5 innings for me to win the
Right.
bet. The price increases dramatically when you play the
Absolutely.
5-inning run line. Now he's a +10 underdog.
But
take
explain
the
this to
10
me, John Ryan. Explain this to me, Rob Vino.
Mhm.
The morning line number in this game made no. I thought Means should have been a $1.40 opening, a $1.30 or a $1.40, and it was a pick'em.
Yeah, don't you feel like the Twins still get respected like they're the Twins of the last couple of years? I mean,
Well,
every day I
I
look at them.
there.
I think Sano can hit 3 home runs tonight with his eyes closed, and they still lose.
Yeah, it's a crazy situation with them because when they played that White Sox series, those teams really aren't close at this point in time. But those games were lined as if Minnesota was still the Central Division champion. So I don't
agree.
know that the odds makers come off of or adjusted Minnesota enough negatively yet.
Wasn't it you? Were you on the show with me? I said that this team is living in 2019 when they set all those offensive records with that live ball, Minnesota.
Right.
I said last year was only a 60-game sprint, but there's this year I said there's no place for this team to go but down, regress. They cannot match those numbers because they weren't that good. They were hitting more home runs than the Yankees. I mean, they were not that good. And they're a mess right now. An absolute mess.
I mean, it's crazy that in the last 8 days or so, I mean, I remember a great quote from a colleague of ours, Dave Koken, about 3 weeks ago. Here's his quote, or his tweet. Miguel Sano, pound for pound, might be the worst offensive player in baseball. Now, he's found a way to hit some home runs in the last
of course.
week and a half. But
And
he
Cruz. Cruz is 100 years old.
Yeah, I fear
Right?
Cruz way more than I fear Sano. Sano is just swing and miss potential. Oh, my God. Swing and miss regularity. So let's hope John Means does the job here against the Twins tonight. I think he will for 5 innings at least. And
Let's all hit our free plays for everyone listening. 3-0. Parlay them, you guys. Just bundle them. Parlay them, round robin them. Play alternate lines on every one of them, and just drop some money in the Sunday plate for us. After you
And
win.
remember, of the three of us, the horseshoe is most firmly jammed up John Ryan's private parts. So you want
Absolutely.
to follow John Ryan.
Mr. Lucky, he
Yes.
doesn't have to watch. He doesn't have to watch.
Listen,
What's the name of that show? He doesn't have to watch Shameless to feel better about himself like me.
listen. When the horseshoe is in there, you try
Yep.
and hang on to it. Keep it in there.
My dad always said it's better to have a horseshoe
Mhm.
Yeah.
than it is to be
Then-
good.
Well, just to have one, Or does it have to be?
Well, I can't say that on the air.
Well, then
You can.
I'll agree. Then I agree. Your dad was a smart man.
I mean, I was fortuitous in that Knicks game, but it felt right because you go through those times where you think, like, oh shit, here it goes again.
Right.
Here it goes again. And all of a sudden you realize who the referees are, who you know are not going to be making calls on your behalf. But yesterday was different. I still think Trae Young's the MVP, except for what he did after he made that shot.
Yeah.
At least for yesterday.
Well,
he made.
It's 3:00. We got about 45 minutes, an hour for first games go off.
I got to go. So we got the best bets out there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go down the show here. For
I had to make a quick flight.
Tony, Finn, myself.
Mm-hmm.
The Predictive PlayBook. Be sure to come back tomorrow. We'll have additional guests on. Joe D'Amico is scheduled to appear, and then we have others Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but everything culminates Friday. But make sure you come back tomorrow.
Wear your sunglasses.
PlayBook at Manny's Pub, and may all the wins be yours.
I will take them. Mm-hmm. Wear your sunglasses.